They can only stick with us for a half an hour today, so I'm hoping we got some votes. We get them done early.
Our last meeting was by Zoom, so this one's supposed to be in person, and we don't have a quorum. So, and the only thing we had to vote on was minutes, but we can table those, so we should be okay.
Okay.
Got it. I'm gonna do the guy.
Got it. That's what I wrote.
Okay, looks like we are now live. So I'll go ahead and call us to order, recognizing we don't have a quorum. This meeting will be for information purposes. It's our Waynesboro Advocacy Committee meeting for June 2024. Because I am dialing in, I'll let Joe manage the agenda, but I want to welcome everybody. And obviously we'll postpone the approval of minutes, which was an agenda item on which we need to vote until our next meeting in which we have a quorum. So, Joe?
Yes, sir. What actually we're going to do is I'm going to leave it to Jonathan to introduce our guest today. So, Jonathan, I turn that over to you.
Absolutely. So, as you guys know, we have an MOU with James Madison University to handle our contracting. Rick Miller has retired. Some of you may be aware. He's left for greener pastures. I think enjoyment is the greener pasture. We've brought on, willingly or not willingly, Scott Watchner. And he is with us today, and I was hoping he might give you guys a rundown of kind of his experience with the state and the things he's accomplished and how excited he is to work on our project.
Hi there, everyone. I'm trying to, oh, there it is. There, you get to see my wonderful face. Actually, this looks like a really cool project. I'm glad to be brought on this, and hopefully I can actually help the project along. And that's my intent. So anyways, I'll be helping work with the state and at least filling out form work. So hopefully guiding along, working with both architects and I guess this will be a design bid build project, I think is what I understand.
Yep, you're correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll help with the contractor then also, and by extension, subcontractors.
Well,
Scott, would you mind sharing just a little background? I know you've been at JMU for a while, and
Right, I am a licensed architect, and I've been with JMU since '06. So you get to do the math. And in this role of project manager for capital outlay projects here on campus, done a wide variety of projects, from dining halls to classroom buildings to sports facilities, working on a student housing project right now also, and a campus power plant project right now. So anyways, haven't worked on a museum, so new ground for me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Scott has agreed to forego any kind of retirement until the project's done. He's going to stick with us to the very bitter end.
Right, and I had to sign a document in blood. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Put that in the collections. We'll be keeping that in perpetuity. All right. Thanks, Scott.
So yes, Scott, thank you for that. And Tom, I already consider Scott our good luck charm because we've had a couple of bits of progress in that Jonathan was alerted that money was transferred over to our account. So we are now flush again with funds. So that's the remainder of the detailed design money. So it's $398,000. Grand total was the 1.14 that we were promised. So that's completed, and we just got approval of the new CO2, the form that is filled out and refilled out and submitted and yada, yada. Just to backtrack a little bit, there was a miscommunication, not on our part, that actually had the wrong square footage on the original CO2. That has been corrected by our colleagues in Richmond. So everything seems on the up and up right now. So my report there is simply that we need to, and we're talking with Glave Homes regarding the restart process. They of course got some other things, and we're sympathetic to that. So they want to get started again this summer. So we're kind of just going back and forth with some preparatory material. We'll keep everyone up to speed, and we're going to go back so we can begin the preliminaries, which means revisiting the former building design and update it, particularly since DEB had some specific concerns that they wanted them to address, particularly the curvature of some of the building and a few other, frankly said, aesthetic things. So that should be starting here fairly soon.
Sounds good.
Good.
Welcome aboard, Scott.
Welcome,
Looking forward
Scott.
to
Thank you.
having you.
Okay, would you like me to proceed on with the agenda, Tom?
Please.
Okay, so I got one thing that isn't on the agenda, and I guess we may as well put it right here. And that's the idea. I just wanted this as a discussion topic. I happened to catch some news off the radio that the property on top of Afton Mountain, where the derelict hotel is in the hands of the family members of the owner, and they're willing to part with the property for redevelopment. And I think Len has a few details on what's going on there.
Yeah, so the owner passed away, we all know that. Apparently, that property, he owns the Swananoa property as well as the Holiday Inn, Howard Johnson, that whole top of the mountain piece. I forget how many acres it is. His widow, his wife, inherited the Swananoa property, and she's kind of keeping that separate. Another family member, I think it's a son or maybe the sister, owns or inherited the other piece of that property, but there was two other stockholders involved in it. So they have agreed, the three of them have agreed to consider working with the county on submitting a CDBG grant to develop a plan. It's a planning grant to develop a redevelopment plan for that top of the mountain. They had a meeting that the Augusta Board of Supervisors met last week and approved or gave the approval for the planning department to proceed with filing that application. There's been a lot of stuff thrown around social media and so forth. At one time, Emmett Hanger actually has and I saw the plan, a complete redevelopment plan that had like a resort up there with a hotel and a restaurant and all that stuff. I saw that mentioned on one of the social media, but this grant, if they get it, is going to be strictly a planning grant. So there's kind of like open to anything. There was also some current concerns that it would be a housing development because CDBG grants are also used to fund low-income housing projects. But it's a planning grant, and CDBG grants are generally awarded for considering blighted properties and redeveloping them. So this is the beginning. The big news, I think, is the fact that the ownership is willing to even consider something, some alternative. It was also said to me by somebody that's been kind of close to it that one of the terms of the inheritance was that they wouldn't sell the property. And that was the one thing about Phil Delaney is he had this thing about holding real estate. His father owned the Virginia Oil Company, which they were the largest Gulf distributors, Gulf service stations around the country. And he had this phobia or mania about holding property. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I was told that was written into the will. So whatever they do is going to be that group in partnership with the county. But it's positive news, and it's the beginning of a planning cycle. It could take quite a while for that to transpire into something.
So the project on top of the mountain, I'm not too concerned about the timeline, whether they're able to get it done within a few years or a decade. I don't think that that's really relevant to us. But the fact that first of all, it's going to be big, right? You know, as long as it's done well, you know, even if it's just a hotel, it's going to improve the tourism amenities that will draw people to come here. I'm sure of that. If there are other aspects of it, a resort or whatever, that's great. But I think it might be wise to alter our narrative slightly to kind of just point out the exciting development and redevelopment, you know, going from Blue Ridge Tunnel, Sunset Park, top of Afton Mountain, and we're all part of that, you know. And I think we can use that to strengthen the narrative that now's the time for us to move to the capital construction pool.
I think that's an excellent point, because about 10 or 12, 14 years ago, myself and Dana were asked to give us a talk, a seminar, breakout session at the governor's conference on greenways, blueways, and brownways. And so we about the Virginia Fly Fishing Festival. So we presented to that. And when we got into the question and answer phase of that, almost everybody in the room, and most of them were Richmond government officials, were like, what are you going to do with that thing on the mountain? That looks like lead of Beirut. It's disgusting. How are you going to have a good festival if you have that going on and all that? So there was a lot of attention from like the State Chamber of Commerce, the economic development people in Richmond, and some of the governor's staff were like, you know, what are you going to do with that? That, you know, it looks horrible, makes the state look bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. It's tying or you know, showing that movement, I think would lend itself to a good argument.
All right, well, I can work with Greg. It might be worthwhile just to look at our, well, you're not gonna be able to see it from there, but you know, the 4-page document that we've been updating periodically to, it's already pretty jam-packed. So, I mean, we don't want to make it too long, but I can talk to them. Maybe we come up with a strategy. I think it would be good to talk about how this fits into an overall redevelopment and growth campaign, a success campaign that is being pushed, and the timing is good. You know, now's the time. This is the time right now. We've always talked. We've always had various reasons why now's the time, and I think this is yet another opportunity to hammer that home.
Good idea.
Do you think it would benefit the county to have a letter from us supporting the idea of a planning grant for this property?
I think it would definitely help. Yeah, those things always help for sure. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Put that on our agenda for the future. It doesn't sound like it's a immediate need, but if they're in the middle of the application, or I don't know where they are in terms of status with their application, but
Yeah, I don't know the time frame. You know, these things get basically awarded, you know, like multiple times a year. So there's probably like an October deadline or something like that. It would be in the planning department. In their purview, it might be worth a phone call from you guys, the staff, to just reach out to them and get their version of the update, and then ask what would be the appropriate support for that.
Okay,
would Doug Wolf be the contact at Augusta County, or do you know?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know the folks in that group.
Yeah.
I used to, but I don't anymore.
Okay, so just
Doug Wolf,
looking at-
is he the chair of the planning commission?
I think he's a director of the planning. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I would go to the staff.
He's a staff member.
Yeah, that's would be the right place. Yeah.
Any other questions about the property there up on Afton Mountain?
I just know that there is a lot of interest in making sure that the golf course remains.
So that's a different owner, different project. That's
Right, right.
Bucky, what's his name?
So just so that we captured your language, Len, who do you want us to contact in Augusta County to find out about what they
The
need?
director of the planning department. Yeah. Not the elected officials, but the actual staff.
Right.
Maybe look for guidance from Greg on that. He's probably in contact with him.
He would be the right guy to. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. So, and we're also happy as staff, we can draft a letter based upon what we learn and share it with you all to modify or edit as you see fit. So we'll follow up with that. Okay,
That'd be great.
All right. If we proceed through the agenda, the community interaction component, the trailer has been active. So thanks to Marcus's organizational talents, we now have Mary Poulin as our volunteer coordinator. And I know Len has been very supportive to help with that. So they've had it open a couple of times, maybe starting to approach 100 people total from the various openings.
No, actually, no,
Nice.
so, yeah, they're getting, last Saturday was 50 people.
Right.
So the last couple of Saturdays have been 50.
Okay.
The first Saturday was 30. And then Thursday night was about 30 in total. So you really got almost 200 at this point. And they're all new people. They're not,
Right.
and so Saturday, she recruited 2 new. So the volunteers, give you an update on that. She's got about 4 that are very active. There's the rest of them really haven't responded or, shown, have been able to, contribute. Carol, I know she's reached out to you. If you're still interested, it'd be great to have you, contribute there. I've told her that you would be a great person, if for no other reason than just to help the other volunteers understand what's going on in the area. There's been a lot of interest in the First Peoples and archaeology study. I've talked about you a lot, so whatever you can do there. But she did recruit 2 new volunteers on Saturday from Nelson County, younger folks that want to participate. So the interesting note to this is, I'd say maybe 40% of the people that I've seen come through are coming from Prosaic, which is kind of good to hear. It's really good to see.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That's right on.
It is very much so. Very interested. They asked a lot of great questions. We've had a lot of out-of-staters. We had a couple from Alaska last week, Thursday night, that said that they were actually coming through. They had rented motorcycles in Memphis and were driving up the Parkway. They were leaving, they were leaving here and then flying back to Alaska, come back in the fall, and then they're going to go north. They said, well, this is definitely something we'd want to come to.
Cool.
We had a couple from Ontario that were coming through on their motorcycles last week that signed up on the mailing list, and I encouraged them to make donations. And I appreciated that. And the exchange rate's pretty lousy right now, so we need to get more out of them. But anyways, I think Mary's she's enjoying it. The people are very interested. It's been so far very positive and good flow.
Well, thank you for your efforts with that. We just last hour we dropped off some added supplies, so we have some open signs to attract attention, and then some supplies for the volunteers. Parks and Rec asked if we would stay open for some of the Groovin' on the Greenways events, so we're going to schedule that out and so forth. But so far, so good. Of course, it's going to be a challenge in the summertime. Without a generator, we don't have air conditioning in there. So we'll just have to keep that in mind. It might have to go dormant for a while until weather shifts. So the other thing we have going with community interactions is I'd forgotten about this, but I was reminded this week. I'll be up in Grottos. Mark, you went to the Cave and Karst Festival last year.
Yep.
Yeah, doing that again. So I'll be up there on Saturday, but it's been good to have good collegial contact with that nearby community, and also, of course, a great tourist destination. So we still have a lot going on, helping to get the word out and so forth. And one thing I see I did not put under community interactions was the lecture series. So hi, Faye, welcome. I'm back here at the end of the table. You can barely see my little arms waving. Anyway, so it sounds like we've got a schedule and we've got a couple of speakers lined up. So we'll kind of work in a community fashion, utilizing Jenna's logistical support. And so we'll get the signature science speaker lecture series going again in the fall. So we'll keep everyone up to speed on that.
If I may, just very quickly, and then I have a dentist appointment, so I'm going to have to wander off. But I wanted to mention that I've been attending some of the Virginia 250th event planning meetings. So, we're looking at the 250th anniversary of the independence in 2026. And there is money available. And I was thinking about this in relation to the trailer and the Joe, this may also apply to the museum as a whole. Department of Historic Resources has announced that they are receiving $20 million to distribute for collections and exhibits. And I was thinking about the Valley and the Revolutionary War, because everybody thinks about the Revolutionary War east of the Blue Ridge. They think about Williamsburg and Yorktown, and yet there was a lot happening here in the Valley, and there's a lot happening with natural resources in the Valley. And so, for example, the saltpeter caves, and I'm thinking about all of the support that was here from farmers, and the hemp that was being raised to make sails for the Navy and so forth. And I'm wondering if perhaps when those grants are announced, would it be wise to think about the possibility of bringing together history and natural history around this issue of the Revolutionary War?
I think it's totally doable, because we never meant for the trailer exhibits to be static anyway. Trade them out slow but sure. So I would encourage us to continue to discuss the possibility of a theme that connects these two kind of normally considered disparate topics, but don't have to be. So for the trailer, I think that worked. Just FYI, the Secretary of Education has charged all museums to do something, right? And she looked at me and said, "I don't know what you guys are going to do." And I said, "Don't worry, we got this." So
you got a lot you could do a lot.
Yeah. It'll be more than this, but we're talking about a small exhibit and a series of peripheral events that surround Thomas Jefferson's notes on the state of Virginia. And so everything from kind of highlighting what he talked about in there, and we may even do a little mission creep and talk about things that outside of the sciences, but then also perhaps to partner with our local historical society on certain days to have kind of a civics day at the museum, where we can actually perhaps get some help from the Spanish-speaking community and do voter enrollment and things like that. So we're talking about those. So definitely yes. We seem to have a few angles of attack here, but as far as the natural resources here in the Shenandoah Valley, updating one of the exhibit areas in time for 2026, I think definitely possible. So if you do hear about the announcement, if you wouldn't mind passing it along, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, it's a story that has never been told. And so, the connection between the resources of the Valley, whether we're talking about the river, the geology, it was very important, very important. The natural history was very important to the American Revolution. And so it just seemed to me that would be a very nice connection, a direct connection to make.
Okay.
Carol, how about the original nation people in the Valley? Did they support, on the American side? I know they did up in North, but did they down here?
Oh my heavens, boy, what a difficult question. We can talk about it at some point. It's pretty complicated, but essentially the governor of Virginia was not paying any attention at all to the indigenous communities who were here. He was focused primarily on the Iroquois. And so once you get to that period of the American Revolution, it gets very difficult to parse out exactly who was doing what here in the Valley, as far as First People go.
Got it. Interesting topic.
All right. One other thing that we have going in the community, I don't know. Everything's kind of running together here for me, so forgive me if I'm being repetitive at all. I don't know if I reported out on this, but we were successful in procuring $25,000 from Dominion Foundation, and so we're going to work with Parks and Rec to make our first kind of connection out into the South River Preserve. So I've got a meeting with Dwayne Jones, I believe it's the 18th of the month, 18 June. I'm giving a presentation. Is that your group, Kay? Am I talking to your group on? Am I talking to a Kiwanis Club? I can't, I forget who it is, but I have someone I need to talk to here. It's on my calendar. Maybe it's not fake. She looks like.
Is it the Valley Conservation?
No. No, I thought it was a
I
Kiwanis group.
don't think it's the Stanton Club. The Shenandoah
No, it's here. It's here in Waynesboro. That's right. You're in
Waynesboro Kiwanis.
Stanton.
Maybe the Waynesboro one.
Yeah.
Okay, must be Waynesboro.
Who are you talking to? You don't know.
So
Christy Williams? No, all right, never mind.
I've heard both those names.
Oh, what's her
before.
face?
Yeah. So what we're gonna do? Honestly, we're almost gonna be a pass through in a way. We're going to develop some content regarding the South River and the South River Preserve, and we're going to pass that on to a contractor that Parks and Rec already works with to create signage and information kiosks. So they weren't going to have enough money to actually do anything with the stretch of river in front of us at our lot. So the idea is that this is going to fill that gap. And furthermore, and I'll have more details at the meeting with Dwayne, but one thing we're going to do to try to make it a little on the unique side is we're going to try to make some of the signage appropriate for people with vision disabilities. In other words, I've talked to a 3D printer expert, and he says he can easily print the watershed of the South River. He can do footprints, tree bark, all these different things, and we can make these items that can then be properly adhered to outdoor signage or kiosks. So there's a tactile component to it. So yeah, it should be a fun little project. So we're going to officially announce it because of the timing of Dominion's cycle. We're going to announce it at Fall Foliage Fest, and then we will announce the success at River Fest in April 2025. So that's the plan there. So as a courtesy, I'll circulate the interpretation that we come up with to the WAC. And if anyone wants to jump in and add some nuggets of information or anything along those lines, we're very much open to that.
Joe, I'm reminded of the idea of creating a timeline along the Greenway that we discussed with regard to the museum, where we would have maybe some large geologic specimens, and we would place them at distances along the Greenway Trail that kind of are scaled to the time. And as you get closer to the museum, you're closer to the present, or something like that.
You want to try folding that in here? I mean, I don't see why we can't.
I like it, but it would require us finding some large geologic specimens that we could. Those would be tactile too, wouldn't they? I mean, you could imagine different types of stone, green stone, or what have you, along the large chunks of that along the Greenway, and then some interpretive signage and them placed in positions that are, as I said, scaled to the time in which they were formed.
Yeah, Matt Heller from Virginia Energy has offered to connect us to various quarries. So we should he'll make the connection so we can get the donated boulders. I don't think we'll have a problem using the moving truck and whatnot to actually move them to the Greenway, and then maybe with some help from the city, forklift or whatever, we can place them. So I think logistically it should be pretty okay, and there should be more than enough money, and we can supplement, of course, with donated funds and so forth to help with the timeline interpretation.
I can't be there on June 18th, but if you can Zoom me in, I'd be happy to join.
We're meeting at his office, so I'll reach out to Wayne tomorrow and see if we can't do that.
Okay.
Okay. The last thing on the agenda, this is just an FYI, the Virginia Museum of Natural History Board of Trustees will be meeting on August 10th at the Danville Science Center for a strategic planning retreat. And of course, discussions in Waynesboro is going to be, part of that. Because when we author the outline for the new strategic plan, it's going to basically include continuation of work of the VMH Waynesboro campus, of course. However, I just want to make sure our community partners, Maggie, Faye, Scott, any of you, if you want to attend, I think, I don't know if this is hard and fast, but I know the staff was trying to encourage the board to not have any Zoom capacity on here to reduce confusion. So this would have to be kind of an in-person opportunity, but if you want to have a voice of the future of the museum, you are all welcome, as you've invested so much in the museum to date.
What's the date again? August
10th at 10 a.m. at the Danville Science Center. We penciled in an approximate 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Time frame, but that's just approximation. Lunch will be served, and if anyone needs overnight accommodations, we can set that up. And then you can take your trip to the casino.
Is the casino open?
They got the tent, big tent.
Okay.
How far away is the building? Next year?
Especially this fall, but yeah, probably early next year.
Okay.
So you can still gamble.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Why build the building?
All right. Does anybody have anything else for community connections related to the Waynesboro project?
Well, you all might already have covered it, but are you all now signing up volunteers for the trailer?
The trail, yes.
Yeah.
I'm speaking on behalf
Is
of
there a
Mary.
new
Yeah.
form? I have an old form.
Hey, would you like me to have Mary contact you?
Yes.
Okay. I'll
Oh,
have her.
Mary's handling that. Okay, good.
Yeah, my wife, Mary Poole.
Good. Yeah, if she could, that would be great. I'd love
Yeah,
to
I'll
get in
ask her
that
to
loop.
call you. Or to send you an email. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
So just FYI, Faye, Mary already has a small team of active volunteers, and they have kept it open for 3 farmers markets and 1 grooving on the Greenway, and it's been well received. And we
Right.
just dropped off new supplies in support of the volunteer activities today. So that is ramping up to get to the position it should be.
Good deal.
Does anybody have anything else to add regarding community outreach?
Nope.
Okay. All right, the last formal portion of the agenda is open discussion. Are there any topics that we didn't cover today that anyone would like to bring up or ask questions about?
I just wanted to let everybody know that I did report to the board our recommendation to continue to work with a, an advisory group for the General Assembly canvassing as we did in the past. And basically that recommendation just says, we support the idea of the foundation using the funds that are designated for Waynesboro to continue to work in that relationship with the city. At our board meeting, we didn't have a quorum at the time I made the recommendation, so it was not acted upon, but we'll carry that over to the next meeting. And I think the message is there anyway, so Joe and staff can bring that to the foundation.
Ryan and I both agree that we're in good shape. We will brief the foundation's finance and executive committee that meets simultaneously. Ryan, do you have that date? It's pretty soon. It's like next month or something.
Yeah, it's in mid-July. I can't remember the exact date,
Sure.
but it's coming up.
Right. So we'll be reviewing, we're going to go back through Mr. Bryant's recommendations and so forth. And we'll give this courtesy to the foundation board about the use of the restricted funds for VMH Waynesboro activities. And so we'll reach out to Mr. Bryant and make sure we're in good shape there. And I see Greg has joined us. So Greg, hello. I know he's on the road, so I don't know if he's available to truly participate or not. But like I said, just to kind of circle back, I'll be working with him regarding contacting the Augusta County Director of the Planning Department, and also we'll work with Greg to see if it's we can use some of the good news from Afton Mountain to upgrade our project narrative and so forth. So, hi Greg, you have a telephone icon that popped up on your square. So if you can hear me, we're just saying hello. So does anybody have anything else for the open discussion?
Just a quick question. I don't know if Ryan has this number on top of his mind, but the restricted funds in the foundation for Waynesboro, do we know what that total is right now?
It's right around 55,000, Tom,
Okay,
is the current balance.
good. That's great.
And that's of course separate from the detailed design funds.
Correct.
Yes, yes. And I
Just-
believe we've had some significant contributions in the recent past. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we had a recent $15,000 gift. We had another recent $4,000 gift. Last week I guess it was.
Yep.
So
Yep.
pretty good steady support.
Yeah, that's great.
And we'll of course continue with that. We every fall put out a specific request for financial support for the foundation specific to the DMH Waynesboro project. And, you know, we try to make clear in all of our messages that every dollar donated to that project stays within this community right here. So,
Brian, can you share if those were local folks who contributed?
Yes, they were all local, either Waynesboro or I think as far as Stanton, but yeah, all local.
Is it possible for you to share those names with us?
we can, I kind of hate to do it with, since we're broadcast live. I just
no.
see to everyone, but
Not
yeah,
suggesting that. It would just be nice to know if you
Yeah,
know, ask somebody on the
absolutely.
street.
yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll put out a synopsis specific for the committee.
Right.
And of course, that's foiable as well, but I mean, we should at least act under best practices and be, you know, courteous and not just
Oh, sir.
going to the corner and yelling out. So, all right. All right. Any other parts for open discussion? The last agenda item is the next meeting would be the 2nd of July, in which I'm assuming there will be people traveling and so forth. I don't know if a lot's really going to go on, if we really want to invest time on the calendar to schedule a meeting. So I'll leave it up to the group to decide, but we can meet July 2nd. It's not a problem. If not, we would meet August 6th, which would be right before both the foundation board meetings and the board of trustees retreat. So it would be timely.
I know I'm out of town on July 2nd, so.
And then this one, we probably would need to meet in person with a quorum. Is that right, Joe?
Well, the next one we should, yes.
Yeah.
I think that would be best because I don't think this really counts as an in-person meeting, even though it's
Right.
supposed to be.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, I would say let's postpone it then until August unless somebody thinks there's some pressing business, and probably we can handle that. If there is something like the letter of support, if that comes across, we can handle that by email.
I agree. All right, Tom, I'm handing it back to you because I think that's
Okay.
everything on the agenda.
Seeing no other raised hands or people urgent to speak, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. And thank you for participating today.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody.
everyone. If there's anyone
Thanks,
who
Joe.
needs,
Thanks, staff.
if anyone needs to talk about something specific, please just send me a text and we can sit and chit chat. Scott, you need to hang around for a minute? I saw you unmuted.
No, I'm just,
Okay.
I want to thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Welcome.